An edit looking like it's made on After Effects does not automatically mean the edit is good. Hey guys, it's Lauren. Right off the bat, this is my editing Instagram and you should go follow it if you don't already. So today's video is one that's been highly requested for a while, but I've been a little hesitant to do it because today I'm gonna give my unpopular editing opinions. I'm always scared to do videos where I have to share like a unique opinion because like with opinions comes the possibility of hurting someone's feelings and I never want to do that. Everything I'm saying is completely my opinion. It's so subjective. So subjective. So if you don't agree with it, it's not like gospel. It's not like you have to agree with me or that you're a bad editor or a bad person if you don't agree with me. Okay, I'll stop talking. Let's get into the video. So first I'm going to talk about my opinions on actual editing, like the technical, like putting stuff together. And then I'm going to talk about like the editing community. So first, let's talk about turbulent displace. Don't worry, I love turbulent displace just as much as the next person, but I feel like as a society, we've become too dependent on turbulent displace. And I feel like people are under the impression that like as long as you have turbulence, the edit is like good and fun to watch, which I think is the case a lot of the time, but turbulent displace is not gonna like save your edit. How do I say this? Like if it's a bad edit, adding turbulent displace to it will not make it like a good edit. I feel like this video is starting off on the wrong foot. Okay, next, these are just two transitions that I really hate. And if you follow me on TikTok, you probably already know this, but I cannot stand tile scramble or flow motion. I feel like they are such visually straining effects. I would not be upset if no one on this planet ever used it again. So my next opinion, complicated editing versus simple editing. Since Instagram editing started to get popular in like 2017, we've come a long way from people just doing like velocity and screen pumps to now doing like element 3D and all this crazy stuff. But sometimes I find myself preferring that simple style of editing over like all this complex stuff. And it makes me feel so bad because I'll see like an element 3D edit that someone obviously spent like hours and hours on, but I'll be more like satisfied and impressed by like a 5-second velocity edit with like tiny little screen pumps. Like sometimes I'll even prefer fan cams that don't even have any effects on it. It's just clips next to each other. So next we have 4 effects that I think are just a little bit overused in the editing community, which are S-glow, S-dist, or really any type of glow for that matter, glitch, and sharpen. I 100% use all of these things and I'm guilty of overusing these things, but sometimes when I see an edit that has like too much sharpen or too much glow, too much glitch, I'm like, I can't watch this. And I just have to scroll past. Next, we have the repetition of shakes and warps. I'm a firm believer that you should not have the same shake and warp combination for every single one of your clips. For example, I see a lot of edits and for every single one of their clips, they have a vertical shake and that like squish warp effect. What I prefer to do is like alternate between like vertical shakes, horizontal shakes, and maybe using like that squish bounce, but also using skews and scale distorts. I think it adds like a diversity to the edit that makes it more interesting to watch. Next, we have long intros for edits. I feel like I've talked about this on the past of my channel, but I cannot stress to you how feral it makes me when the intro for an edit is like 15 seconds of a black screen. I love supporting editors, big editors, small editors, medium editors. But if I have to sit and watch a black screen for any more than like 2 seconds, I will take my finger and swipe away. And it makes me feel bad. I feel bad about it. But my attention span is this. This is my attention span. Okay, next opinion, editing trends. There have been a lot of editing trends, especially since I've been on TikTok, and I'm just a little bit confused by some of them. One of the more recent ones is just a zoom out and then a split screen slide and then it just loops and that's the trend. And you know, they're cool to watch, but I just don't understand why it's a trend. I just feel like there's nothing different about it that should constitute it being so widely used. And my last opinion about actual editing is what I call the catfish thumbnail. You know when you're scrolling through your Instagram Explorer page and you see this one edit thumbnail and you're like, wow, this is really cool. This edit is about to be bomb. Like I see glows and edge rays and effects and 3D and everything. And then you watch the edit and it's just like a screen pump and a slide. Not that there's anything wrong with that. As I said before, I love simple edits, but I just get a little disappointed when like the thumbnail is so like out of this world and then the edit itself is very very like simple. Okay, so now let's get into my opinions about the editing community. I'm gonna talk about both Instagram and TikTok because I'm kind of on both. I mostly just spam post on TikTok, but I see a lot of like editing related content on my For You page. So my first opinion is that we should not idolize editors, and I mean this both like morally, politically, and in terms of their actual editing. I think in any sense, idolizing anyone is really dangerous because we're all human and the probability of them letting you down is very high. But I think this is even more true for editors because so many of them are so young. So when you have like literal children as your idols, you can't expect them to always be perfect. And like I said, this goes for idolizing them both as people and as editors. If you have a favorite editor, you cannot always expect them to meet that standard or expectation of what you expect from them editing wise. If you have super high expectations for them all the time, that can be really stressful for them. So next, I have some very strong opinions on the whole big editors are mean thing. And you may be thinking,
well, Lauren, you're obviously going to defend big editors. You are a big editor.
But I am tapping into my unbiased perspective because I haven't always been a big editor. When I was a small editor, I literally hated big editors just because I was jealous. Like, I would see a big editing account and just be like,
I'm gonna assume that they're mean and a horrible person just because they have a ton of followers.
And you know, unfortunately, sometimes this is true. There are big editors who are entitled and rude and are not grateful for their fans, but that is the minority and it should not be a generalization. And a lot of the times I see that when a big editor does something, it's wrong and rude, but if a small editor does the same thing, it's okay. And one example of that is like interacting with followers. If a big editor doesn't check every single one of their notifications, all of their comments, they're ungrateful and spoiled. But if a small editor doesn't check all their notifications and respond to all of their comments, it's,
well, who can respond to all their notifications? Like, that's impossible.
So I think we just need to stop assuming the worst of people with large followings just because of that following. Okay, next opinion, and I hope I don't get hate for this one, but let's talk about the Instagram editing community versus the TikTok editing community. So I've spent a lot of time on both, and I can say with 100% certainty that TikTok is a lot more harsh and honest than the Instagram editing community. Those are the words I'm gonna use. For example, I was scrolling on my For You page the other day and I saw this edit. It was a good edit. I thought it was a really good edit. And I checked the comments and almost every single one of them was like,
this is choppy. Like, this isn't good. Like, what are your graphs? Like, change your graphs.
And I was like, when I don't like an edit, I scroll past it. This is what I do. And that it ends there. I don't comment. TikTok spares absolutely no one. If your edit is bad, they will let you know your edit is bad. Meanwhile, on Instagram, if your edit isn't the best or you're just starting off, you will have like tons and tons of comments like hyping you up. I have never seen an instance on editing Instagram where one editor is like commenting on another editor's post like, this is bad. Okay, next we have the whole QR codes versus keyframes debacle. This one I think definitely is a controversial opinion, but why do we shame people who use QR codes? Using QR codes does not make you any less of an editor than someone who uses keyframes, especially considering the fact that QR codes are largely used by children or just amateurs who are just starting off editing and don't really know how to use keyframes. And I genuinely think that keyframe editors who shame QR code editors are just trying to stroke their own egos and have like really, really bad superiority complexes. A lot of people bring up the argument, well, they put no effort into it. All they had to do is press a button and they have a preset. They're not real editors.
But why does that affect you?
If you don't want to watch a QR code edit, don't watch it. I just got really heated there, but you making fun of someone else's editing is not going to make your editing any better. I'll just leave it at that. So next opinion, I actually talked a little bit about this on my TikTok, but this is a controversy over the prices for project files and editing resources. I personally love to see people chasing the bag. If you want to sell your keyframes, project files, colorings, overlays, anything for money, please do it. But there's been a lot of controversy of people complaining over $1 shake presets or $10 project files. And in my humble opinion, I think people can price their resources at even more than that. Think of a project file. Hundreds of keyframes, probably hundreds of pre-compositions and layers, hours and hours of effort. People are not only getting the project file, but they're getting your entire editing style, the way you place your keyframes, your graphs. And for someone to say, well,
that's worth X amount of dollars, that should be worth less than $10,
is so wrong. Don't let someone else tell you what your work is worth. If you believe that your project file is worth $50, sell it for $50. If people don't want to buy it, then they don't buy it. Also, people saying that like shake and warp presets shouldn't be more than $1. Do you you know with what frequency I use shake and warp presets? To say that a preset like that you're going to be using hundreds and hundreds of times amongst all your edit is worth $1 or less is so demeaning to whoever actually makes the preset. So now let's talk about people being disappointed about how their edit does. A lot of the time, and especially on TikTok, when people are just like, I spent X amount of hours on this, but I only got X amount of likes, people are so quick to attack them in the comments and be like,
well, you're being ungrateful. I only get this amount of likes. I get less likes than you.
But someone being disappointed over how their edit does is not them being ungrateful. If you spend hours and hours on end making an edit and you only get like 3 likes, that's going to be disappointing to everyone. That doesn't mean that the 3 people who did like the edit are like meaningless and don't matter. But if you put it into perspective, TikTok is an app with millions and millions of users. It might go into the billions. I have no idea. I don't want to research that. But with TikTok being an app filled with such opportunity to prosper and succeed, people will have certain expectations for how their edits do. And it doesn't mean that they're ungrateful. My last opinion is that we need to stop making After Effects edits like the basis of what an edit should look like. For example, I see a lot of video star editors posting their edits and in the caption they'll be like, does this look like AE? And then if someone comments like, no, this looks like video star, they'll get like offended or something. An edit looking like it's made on After Effects does not automatically mean the edit is good. If you're completely untalented and you use After Effects, that does not suddenly make you talented. On the flip side, if you are talented and you use a phone editing app, that doesn't suddenly make you untalented. If you're a video star editor, a light motion editor, Funimate, CapCut, literally any other application, you shouldn't be worried about trying to make your edits look like After Effects. Because at the end of the day, they're all different programs. The edits are inevitably going to look different. A video star edit is always going to look different from an After Effects edit because they're different programs. They offer different resources to make the edits. The keyframe style is going to be different. The graphs are going to be different. The effects are going to be different. So I feel like editors shouldn't worry about whether their edit looks like it's made on After Effects or not. Because again, After Effects edit and good edit are not always synonymous. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And please feel free to comment down below any unpopular editing opinions that you may have. Bye!